wait, what grade are you in now?
I'm gonna be a junior.
What? In high school?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yo, that's crazy because, like, I don't know, I still feel like I see you like my little sister, like you're just
I know.
young, but
when I was a middle schooler.
yeah.
We gotta get a charger.
No, go ahead, that's fine. We will edit it out.
Okay, I gotta get a longer.
All right. Hey guys, this is ktwinTV podcast and welcome to the community.
Today we have two beautiful guests with us that we've actually been wanting on our podcast for a while. We have Hope and her mom, Malia. We used to dance with Hope in a Polynesian dance group called Paradise of Samoa, and I'm so glad we stayed connected.
Yes, how are you both doing today?
Good.
I'm doing good.
Well, that's great to hear. Do you want to start?
Yeah, so as you all know, the Black Lives Matter movement has been going on for about a month now. It's alive and it's awake, and it's taught all of us some really important lessons and brought our community together in a lot of different ways. Nonetheless, we still acknowledge that there's plenty more work to be done, but we're here to amplify both of your voices regarding some posts that you both recently shared with everybody on social media that were just very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So back in May, when the Black Lives Matter movement had just begun and reignited, I remember that you both shared the messages like Kudzai was saying, and I thought each of those messages were extremely powerful,
Mm-hmm.
and they came from a place that we really related to. So I think we just kept reading them over and over again, and we're like, dang, this is so powerful, like, especially considering that, like, you, Hope, are a Black girl just like us, and then you, Malia, were able to, like, see her experiences through a different perspective as a white female. And we thought that was extremely important. Could you read those actually for us?
Hope, actually, would you like to go first?
Sure. Let me pull it up.
Yeah.
Okay. I have never really talked about the struggle of being Black on here, but right now feels right. We should not feel scared every time we step out that door every day. We should not feel fear when the people who are supposed to be protecting us are slamming our faces into the ground, making it hard for us to breathe. We should not feel the fear of being hunted like animals when we are simply out jogging. We feel like we aren't being heard. How many of us have to die before they get it? What will it take? Because no matter how we dress, speak, and act, they want us, or however way they want us to act, we will still be seen as a threat. How many Black boys have to be scared to grow up because they are seen as a threat? Because even as they're seen as a threat right now, they're just kids. But when there's white people marching around about their rights, holding AR-15s, that's not threatening. What makes us so different? When we hear sirens, we shouldn't have that sickening feeling in our gut, because I do. We should feel safe, not thinking someone might hurt or kill us. I am so sick of the systematic racism. When will it end? And even though it isn't as bad where we live, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And I feel it, and I have felt it before, from being called names because of the color of my skin and the dark complexion, to people at my school saying racist things, to the white kids at my school carving the N-word and other racial slurs into tables. From hearing slurs from people I thought were my friends, to people touching my hair, or to touching and petting my hair thinking it's okay. It's not a petting zoo. I am not an animal. Don't touch my hair. I was told when I was a little girl, you can't play with us because you don't look like this. You are different. That stuck with me all throughout my elementary years and still haunts me to this day. My point being is, check yourself and check your privilege. When people say, I wish I was Black, I want people to realize what they're saying, because they want to be cool or whatever it is. So please educate yourself before you say something like that. It's not easy being Black and watching my people literally be killed on the daily because of the color of their skin. You don't know what it's like to be in the frying pot. You don't know what it's like to get stopped by the cops and know but if you're about to die or not. You worry about your life, so you take mine. I love you, but I hate you at the same time. I wish we could understand more, but it'll take time. It's like we're living in the same building and split into two sides. There's two sides to the story, and now you know mine. And that's a quote by Joyner Lucas.
Wow.
That literally
awesome.
Gets me every time.
Yeah.
It's even more powerful just hearing it from your mouth. Like, it's so poetic. That's, I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. That really means a lot. Malia, would you like to read your statement?
Sure. I find myself constantly watching people watch her. I don't know when it started, maybe from the beginning. We had her start school early to be just one grade below Cruz. So every year of school but one, She would have her older brother there to keep an eye on her. Most volleyball games, she's the only Black girl in the gym, and I watch. She is the only one whose hair is padded when we travel. All 3 of my kids have had to have conversations with peers about how using the N-word is never okay for a white person. I watch the 360 app while she jogs, making sure the dot never stops moving. I ask her to not wear her hood sometimes. I get nervous every time she climbs the back fence to go to her grandparents, wondering if someone will think she is an intruder. I told her I never want her to go to the South. When we look at colleges, the first thing she looks at is the percentage of African American students. We talk about racism, about how far we have come, and yet how far we still need to. I want to believe the best in everyone. It's my personality to do so. I want to believe that people of color are not killed simply because of the color of their skin, and yet over and over, we read and watch and see that they are. This is a quote. When Mayor Fry appointed me as the chief of the Minneapolis Police Department, I was very steadfast and strong on what our department vision, values, and culture change would be moving forward. One of those pillars is sanctity of life, end quote. I love that the chief uses these words, sanctity of life. The church knows these words well. They live and die on them with the pro-life movement, which is really pro-birth. I don't know the answer for the church in this time, but as I, a white woman of privilege, watch the news and worry about my daughter and the world she is going out into, I know silence is not the answer. Racism is blatant at times, but it is also passive. I told Hope today our goal is education and conversation to those we love and are in community with. Ahmaud Arbery and George Floyd, we speak your names.
Wow, that was really powerful.
Yeah, that's really powerful. The first thing that like stuck out to me in your statement, Malia, was the pro-life, which is really pro-birth. That line, like I always like, because Kunda and I were going on a walk when we were talking about both of your statements, and just thinking about that concept about like, what are people really fighting for? What are we really fighting for? If we're saying Black Lives Matter, and then there's a pro-life movement, what what are we really fighting for? And that's just a very, very powerful message.
I love that. I just have a question for both of you, actually. Either one of you can answer. When you were each writing your statements, what was your main goal, or like what are some really important things that you both wanted your audience to know?
I just wanted people to know like what the whole situation was like coming from a person of color, because you know everybody has something to say from it, but I think it's really important when someone who is directly, you know, in like involved with it, for them to hear what we have to say about it. Right. And especially us, I think that it's important for them to hear us in the hurt behind it, you know.
Yes.
And yeah, that was something I was gonna say about yours. Like, it was just really raw, and like there was no filter, which I really liked, because a lot of times people don't understand the depth of what actually happens and like how it feels. So
yeah, and I think for me, it felt like this moment in time, and we're seeing it now play out, that it's time to say something. Like, it's time to, you know, Hope told me there was a lynching in Georgia, and she showed me a video, and I was like, no, there was not. Well, it was a modern day lynching. It wasn't a literal lynching, but when she first showed me the video, I looked at it and thinking, what is this? And so I watched it without knowing what I was watching.
Yes.
So then I watched Ahmaud die, and, you know, we were horrified. It was so horrifying. I mean, just, there are no words for how that felt to watch that. And then George just a few days later, and it just felt like, yeah, it's time to share how we feel, because we don't talk about it with people. You know, I don't tell people that I watch her in the gym, or I watch people watch her. You know, we don't talk about those things.
Yeah.
But it felt like a moment in time where we need to start the conversation.
Of course, yeah.
And like, I know between the two of us, even like experiencing a lot of those experiences, I can easily say that both of your guys' statements are things that stuck with me in my head, and even had me reflecting and thinking about a lot of things. And just, I think I'm proud to see how many people of color and just people in general are stepping out and vocalizing a lot of these different experiences that, like you said, are often quieted. Like, I like that you acknowledged, both of you acknowledged in your statements, microaggressions. Like, Hope is the only one getting her hair patted, or Hope's always getting people's hands in her head, and people are always watching Hope, or like the concept of how she sneaks over to her grandparents' house, like how you worry about that because there's an additional layer of race and criminality, you know? It's wow. Yeah. And so what were the responses from both of your social media followings? What did people say?
Sure. I think it was really good. I think a lot, we've seen allies, I feel like, in this moment more than we ever have.
Definitely.
And I feel like people were thankful that we shared. And I think, I think even somebody said to Hope, I've always wondered how this affected you. And I think, it does affect us. We do need to share how it affects us. And maybe we do need to talk about those things more than we do.
Right. Right.
Yeah, a lot of people were just like thanking me for sharing and like my experiences, because I don't think like this isn't really, people find this topic like uncomfortable. So I think for a lot of people to hear it and for me to share that with them.
That's awesome. Yeah, like you guys are saying, or you ladies are saying, I really like that now is like the perfect time. Like, if you didn't have that push to like vocalize it before, it's like, well, now it's on the table and it's a subject that everyone's aware of. So it's okay to talk about it now, which I really appreciate. Did you intentionally post these statements at the same time?
No, actually. I was writing mine down one night, and then the next morning I handed it to my mom just to make sure like everything was okay with it, and like everything was, what was said well. And then she was like, "That's funny, because I was actually writing mine down last night." So it wasn't planned at all.
Yeah.
Wow,
that's cool.
But yeah, that's actually, what a coincidence. But regardless, even though it was a coincidence, I bet it was a big moment for you both to like talk about, like, be ready to like vocalize these very vulnerable situations on social media. I guess, like, did you guys like talk about how that might like go out, or like just talk about how it might be to express these race-related topics on social media, and like, I don't know, potential reactions or anything?
Yeah. Well, when she had me read it, we changed just a few things, because what is your point? What do you want to get across? Are you, and it's fine, whatever it is, but are you just wanting to rant? Are you wanting to educate? Are you wanting to, what is the point? And so let's make sure whatever that is coming through. And so I think for both of us, I mean, education has been huge, as she's in a predominantly white school, and so, back in, I don't know, second grade, maybe, I'm bringing in all my Black history, books for Black History Month that was not celebrated before, but we're bringing in the resources. And, we love, our school is wonderful, and they were so open and, brought the books out and let everybody read it. But I feel like that is a part of our life in a lot of ways, is education. And so I think the post was both of us to just educate on the feelings that we have, and to share our hearts. Yeah. And knowing that you could get backlash, I mean, absolutely. Right now it's so divisive. I mean, in some ways I see this unity, and then others it's just so divisive. And so yeah, there's a risk always, I think, to share your heart, but especially in something like this.
Yeah. Right. I agree with that. And like, I don't know, I even think about like my recent post, like I shared a poster like with a Black Lives Matter poster at a protest, and like some random person like came like commenting like all of these different things, and it's like, okay, like, and that's just part of people vocalizing things more recently. Like, other people are becoming more bold in that way, but we're all pushing back just as hard, if not harder. So
yeah.
I agree. Malia, I actually noticed at the end of your statement, you kind of talked about the church and how it's time for them to speak up a little bit more. And like, I think we've noticed it too. Like, a lot of the local churches here in Salem, like, aren't really saying much about Black Lives Matter, and we were kind of disappointed, but honestly, we weren't surprised. I think it's always kind of been something in the back of our heads, like when we did go to predominantly white churches as a Black family. Why do you think that a lot of churches aren't speaking up on the topic, or what actions do you think the church should be taking?
Yeah, this is a hard question for me because I don't know exactly what the steps should be, but I know there should be something. We were really pleased. Our church, we saw both of our pastors at the walk, at the George Floyd walk, which was awesome for us. We didn't know they were going to be there. And I saw them across the crowd, so that was really neat for us. And then also, not this last Sunday, they're doing a series on racial justice.
Awesome.
So they had a guest speaker. We were just talking last night. I think it was from Tennessee. So it was a video of a Black pastor speaking at a predominantly white church that they shared. And it was so good. I mean, we felt like it was so good. And, so we're pleased to hear that our church is talking about it. But, I guess right now that is the best thing, is to be talking about it, to be showing up, to be a voice in the community. And you guys know, I mean, we do live in a very white community. And so I don't know. And then we're also in the middle of a pandemic, because I've thought, well, maybe we should go to some Black churches in town. Like, that's been something that I felt like we should do as a family, but now we can't even go to church. So I feel like this weird time, but definitely silence is not okay right now.
For sure.
And then Hope, do you have any input or opinions on this?
I just think that like the church is like the people who are not supposed to be ignoring the fact that this is happening, because God obviously says like everybody is created equal, and there's no one who is over another, but like not a lot of the churches aren't doing anything about it, so it's in a way kind of hypocrisy when they don't say anything about it, and they're just ignoring the fact that it's not happening. So
you're completely right. And go ahead and give your church a shout out.
Oh, we go to Church on the Hill.
Good for them. We love to see it.
You guys have to send us that sermon that
we will.
To watch
it was so good. Hey, can I read a quote right now about church? Martin wrote this, Martin Luther King Jr., the letter from Birmingham jail, which is one of my favorites. But it's basically two white pastors who are not joining the movement. And he says, "But the judgment of God is upon the church as never before. If today's church does not recapture the sacrificial spirit of the early church, it will lose its authenticity, forfeit the loyalty of millions, and be dismissed as as an irrelevant social club with no meaning for the 20th century. Every day I meet young people whose disappointment with the church has turned into outright disgust." That unbelievable. 1963, he wrote that. And I'm like, it's so relevant for today. And I think, so, I mean, even as I say, I don't know what the church should be doing. I know there should be something, and I know they should be speaking, like I said, and that's why that sanctity of life I thought was so fascinating, because the pro-life movement within the church is huge. I mean, it's huge. And so I feel like there is a place for them to take the Black Lives Matters movement the way they do the pro-life movement.
Yes. And I just felt like the part of your statement that even regarded the church was something that Kunda and I talked about a lot, because for our family, we'd always talked about race and in church, because we, as you guys know, we live in a predominantly white Salem, Oregon. And so at church, there would be the microaggressions like, oh, your hair, oh, you look like you're from Africa. Or there was even a pastor that was invited, and he talked about Africa as the dark continent, like his whole sermon. Or like just the white saviorism that comes from, I'm going on a missions trip to Africa and taking these pictures with African children as if they're props, and all of these different things like our family constantly talked about regarding church, because that's an additional layer that we face. We don't just see the sermon, we see the racial aspect of it and then the sermon. So for you as a white woman to acknowledge that race does have a place to be talked about in church was something that I've honestly never seen or heard before from a white person. Like, that's what we hear as Black people among Black people. That's what we all acknowledge, like, oh, did you hear this, or did you see this, or again, or blah, blah, blah. But it was so fascinating, and I was very impressed and thankful that you used your platform to talk about, hey, people matter, Black lives matter. Like, everyone has a foot in this argument, everyone has a foot in this fight, because if you are Christian, if you love God, if you love Jesus, you should have a heart for people in general, period. Especially the most oppressed people. Jesus Christ fought for the most oppressed and the most hated by society. So the church should be reflecting that behavior. If we're trying to be more like God, more like Jesus, we should reflect those behaviors. But instead, race is the most like hot topic in church. Like, no one wants to talk about it. And I wonder if that's going to change, and obviously it is, because I mean, Church on the Hill is doing a great job of that. So that gives us a lot of hope. And I was doing a little bit of Instagram research just to see, like, is anyone saying anything? And I also noticed that Salem Alliance Church, I think the youth pastor, he did like a short video about talking about everything going on, and just talking about how if we have the love of Jesus Christ in us, we should also be showing that love toward other people and fighting for the oppressed, just like Jesus did. And that was so powerful to me. I had to comment on it. I was like, oh my God, even though I don't go to Alliance, I was still like, wow.
So personally, what I noticed with a lot of families who are like white, and some adopted families also have this problem as well, but it's the lack of education. And I really like that both of you like really emphasize that education is the basis of learning and unlearning some behaviors that you already are used to and know. How does your family go about learning, and like kind of when and how do you start? Like, what ages do you think are appropriate?
Well, for us, I mean, it was obviously Hope came home at 15 months. So, you know, I think it started really early because she was a Black child in a white family. And so there was talk about race from early on because, well, she used to think Shane was Black.
Really?
It does get fairly dark in the summer, but she was but that's kind of a joke. But as she got older, you know, recognizing the color of her skin, and it is different because we're an adoptive family, and you know, kids want to look like their mom and they want to have hair like their mom, no matter what color they are. But it was certainly magnified in our family. And so there were, I mean, I remember her being as young as 3 talking about the difference in our skin color. And just, you know, for us, we didn't know anybody else that adopted. I feel like we really learned as we went, and, you know, we read books even before we adopted just to get ready, but I don't think anything can prepare you for the actual experience of living it. And so there was a lot of praying as I would talk to her, you know, like, Lord, what do I say? And so I know we've always affirmed how beautiful God made her, that, you know, she is so special. Her hair, it's different, but it's so special. And we started actually going to a friend. We were trying to remember how old she was, maybe 4 or 5. She was from Zimbabwe.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's
and
Zimbabwe.
yeah. And I know. And she walked up to me at church, actually. And I knew what she was going to say. I knew she was going to say something about helping Hope with her. And she barely got it out. And I go, yes. Yes. and she's still our friend. They moved a few years ago, but still friends to this day. She first helped me with hair, and then we actually had a few other adoptive moms all get together, and she came down and just, you know, helped us with hair. And she was a huge learning or tool that God used, I feel like, to help us learn about hair. And then you guys, I don't know if you've seen it, but I watched Chris Rock's Good Hair documentary. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
It's a little crude, I will say that, but oh my gosh, like the amount of information that I got from that was huge, like
Wow.
just culturally, because
Yeah.
we are not Black. We are not in a Black society here that, you know, and so it's all new to me too. And so, yeah, so it's neat that God has brought people into our lives. And now she goes to Ola, who you guys know too.
Yeah.
Yeah, to do hair. But I think that was neat to be able to, just be able to meet that need, because I feel like it's a huge part of Black culture. And hair days are special days, and going to the beauty shop and things are so fun. And so we're super glad to have that experience. And, you know, we've read books, and I think now in this moment in time, even more so, I just watched, it was Killer Mike and T.I. and Candace Owens, and I don't know if you've seen that, but very different opinions in the Black community talking about politics. And I just watched that. You know, I'm just like, okay, I'm going to watch, and I want to watch from every side. I don't want to just, oh, this aligns with what I think, I'm only going to watch that. You know, we've been trying to keep an open mind and really learn. And we actually love Blackish. Blackish. I Googled so many things after Blackish, like, oh, they brought that topic up. Let me look that up. But the colorism one was fascinating. You know, I think those things were so good. And we celebrated Juneteenth this year with our strawberry soda and our barbecue. And, you know, I think that we're just kind of going and doing what we can, but intentionally. I think that's the key, right?
Wow,
That's
that
great.
is so amazing. I love to hear it.
I really like that your family makes like a wholesome effort. Like you go to both sides. You go to both men and women, or people on this side of the political spectrum and that side, and you go to different people who know how to do different kinds of hair. And you visit
areas from like politics to hair to like
comedy, everything.
Yeah. So, you know who else I love? I have to give Brian Stevenson. You guys have seen Just Mercy, I assume. Yeah. So I read that book several years ago, and he is phenomenal. I just think he is so amazing. And what I love about him too is that he talks about, until we acknowledge the sins of our past, we cannot move forward. And I know in what I read, I don't ever hope to go to the South, but part of me wants to go to the civil rights, like it's almost like a trail that they have. And he has like the lynching memorials, and like, you know, it's like people are comparing like the Holocaust, like keeping the memorial. And I love that he has a lynch. We do need to remember that this happened. Like some of these things we do need to have before us, so we never go back there again. And we recognize, and I think that's, for some reason, it is really hard for white people to acknowledge, you know, it's, well, that wasn't me, it wasn't my ancestors, it wasn't, but it was a part of this country. It was. And I think until we can look at it for what it was, acknowledge it, then how do we move forward? And I love that Brian, and I feel like he's such a meek person, and when he speaks, there's just a gentleness about him that makes me want to listen and learn. And so we're big fans of Brian Stevenson.
That's awesome.
I got the privilege of, he came to my school. He came to speak. So I got to watch him speak. I read his book, and then during spring break, the Multicultural Center was hosting a trip to the South. So I got to go to the lynching memorial, the EJI, and see the Civil Rights Museum, and see all of these different places. And for sure, it's very emotional, but very rewarding to get to learn about the truth and the depth of the history that is in America, and see the relevance and correlation between history and some of the issues that we see people of color facing now.
Right.
It's definitely powerful. I would definitely recommend, like, I was definitely a little, the South, like, I don't know, but go. It's a very powerful like experience as a whole. I can't even find words.
That's amazing.
No, it was amazing.
Okay, for hope. How do you recommend people your age or even people who are older or just don't know much about racial issues or about Black people in general or people of color? How do you recommend that they find influential leaders or people who will teach them or people they can look up to in general?
I'd say, I mean, for our generation in 2020, like the internet is such a big place. So
Yeah.
do your research. Like,
Mhm.
obviously, go to like several different things because I mean there are biases that you will spot, but like
Mhm.
I think the internet and your phones and your computers are such a big thing. So use the internet, do
Yeah.
your research, like, and don't just go to your one black friend. Don't just go to your one black friend. Like, just
Yeah.
talk to people because it's not their job to educate you. Like, it
Period.
should have been. You should have been educated a while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Mhm.
So.
I
Mhm.
totally agree with you. I think a lot of people forget with the same phone I'm texting my Black friend with, I can look something up. Like
Right.
it's at their fingertips
Yeah.
and they just need to use it.
Yep. Don't click the text. Click the Safari button, baby. Click the Safari, baby. Hope. Who are some influential Black leaders that you look up to?
I'd say there's a singer named Her. I don't know.
Yeah, I
Yes.
saw her in concert.
Yeah. No
We're
way.
so jealous of
Oh my
you.
gosh.
Yeah.
But like she's so like woke and like I love how she uses her music to like shed light on the things that other people don't want to. And she
Yeah.
doesn't gonna make her look. And she's like, I love her like spoken words at the like beginning or end of songs and
Yeah.
how she's so poetic in that. And like I really look up to her because she really doesn't care what people are gonna think. She
Yeah.
just speaks her mind and what she wants to say. So
Yes. I love that. I love how music can be so powerful. Like
mhm,
can send I don't know, I think like one of the most like easy examples I can think of is like Childish Gambino's song This Is a Life.
mhm,
Like that
Yeah.
whole song and then the video on top of that were just so powerful.
Identity exploration is one of the most important things that Kudzai and I have talked about as Zimbabwean Americans. And I know it's probably the same for you. And I think it's just really important for anyone. So
Mhm.
could you kind of tell us about how you identify yourself and how you explored your identity?
And share
yeah.
your ethnicity, if you don't mind.
Yes. Oh yes.
Yeah.
I am full Haitian. I was adopted when I was 15 months old and I've been in Oregon ever since. So yeah. Don't speak the language or anything like that, but yeah. So it's definitely hard because I go to a school that's like 99% white,
Mhm.
and a lot of the people there don't believe the same things as I do. And so it's very hard because there's a lot of very uneducated and very ignorant people who, no matter how hard you try to tell
Mhm.
them something, they're not gonna change what they believe at all.
Yeah.
So it's really hard, but I've definitely had like a lot of identity crises and stuff like that because like I've struggled with I don't know how to act. Like, should I act more white or should I
Yeah.
act more black
Yeah.
or should I try to tap into my Haitian heritage? Like, I don't know. So it's hard.
Yeah.
But like this past like year or so, I've definitely like found who I am through like music and through like a lot of like black like celebrities and like like leaders and stuff and just like doing more research and like just finding the confidence of who I am and
Yeah.
that like because I wasn't always like I always wanted to straighten my hair. I'm like my mom would let me, but like I would always want to straighten my hair
Because I watched good hair.
and I've always been
Yeah.
up and I'd always want to be like my white friends because I
Yeah.
was afraid I would feel judged if I did anything other. But I feel like this past year or so I've definitely found who I am with
Yeah.
being myself. But
Yeah, I love that. And like that's even like a struggle I can even attest to myself. Like I think what I always think about is it's hard to be like a soprano in an ocean of altos. Like when you're like at South Salem High School, like in this very all white school or Cascade Middle School, very white
yeah,
space, and like you're some of the few black people, so then like you don't have your black peers to look to and kind of relate to, or even to ask hair care tips or anything like that. You have to figure things out on your own.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I envy your ability to be so confident and so just fully yourself. Like, I just watch you and I'm just always impressed by you because you're just you. Like, despite you like being in a very white space, you've very clearly found who you are, and that inspires me a lot. Um,
And I always think like we're twins, so we were always together
Right.
like a long time like before we graduated high school, and like you're on your own, and we have like a lot of, or not a lot, but a bigger portion of Black people around us than you do. And so I can see that like that's much harder than the position that we're in, but you still manage to express yourself through dance and music and still find those leaders in your life that you look up to. So that's really awesome.
Thank you.
And then we did notice that you started dancing on your Instagram. So can you kind of tell us about your journey, like how you got into that, how you started dancing? And
Well, I've always like loved to dance, and we obviously danced together in the Polynesian group for years, but I've always loved dance, and it's always been like an escape for me, and like I've only taken how do I say it? I've only taken like jazz when I was very little, but I'm more into like hip hop, urban style, that kind of dance. And like whenever I'm like sad or angry or like feeling emotions, like dance is like the one thing that will like make me happy. And it's just like, and like music also, like I can just get lost in music all the time. Like that's just what makes me feel better. So, and then this past year is like I finally found the confidence to like post my dances and stuff, because before I wouldn't post anything because I was like, I don't know what people are gonna think about this. Like, I don't know. But like this year was the year that I was like, okay, I think it's finally time to, put my dancing up. And it's for me, it's not for anybody else. So it's like, yeah.
Good for you.
And people have loved it.
People have loved it. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I'm still down to do a choreo. Like, we need to get together.
I am too.
I'm serious about that. I have loved watching you dance because when I go to school in Boston, I go to Boston College, and so there's actually a lot of first generation Americans, or like people who are just there's a lot of first generation Americans. And so I'm surrounded by a lot of students who are from Cape Verde or Nigeria or Haiti or just different islands or different African countries. And so, I mean, obviously we dance a lot because that's part of Black culture in general and African culture and Caribbean culture. So I've noticed the way that my Haitian friends dance or my Cape Verdean friends dance. And so when I came back to Oregon and I was watching your dance videos, I can see the same energy, like the way that you shake your hips and the way that and the way that you're just energetic in your dance. Like, you're very much tapping into your Haitian and Afro-Caribbean culture, and I'm not even sure if you're aware of that. And so I wanted to just share that with you because that was something I was like, oh wow, okay, Hope. No, it's really special. Like, keep doing it. And I would even encourage you to like listen to some Afro-Caribbean music, like or I'm not sure if you already do, but it's
I do some.
Yeah, so you already know. I can't even tell you about anything. Like, no, it's good. Like, and it's just, there's something about the beat that just makes you want to dance and just get into it. So yes, I envy your ability to just explore yourself culturally at such a young age. For me, it definitely wasn't until I got to college that I really was like, okay, let me get into African music. Let me get into Zimbabwean culture. Let me really learn about myself aside from my Blackness. Let me now tap into my African roots. And you're already doing that, and I can see that you're just going to be happy. You're gonna like, you already are happy. Like, you're just yourself, and that's just so special to see. I love it.
Thank you.
And I think it's been, it is different for us a little bit because she is Haitian. And so part of exploring her culture is not just as a Black American, but as a Haitian. And so we got to take her back to Haiti. Were you 10?
That was 2015.
Yeah, when she was 10. And, we have friends who are from Ethiopia. and they're very proud to be Ethiopian. And they, like, every time we're together, we pray in English and Amharic. And, you know, it's just this beautiful, like, pride in their country. And it was so neat because we've known them for years, and Hope's grown up watching this. And I feel like there was that click with her Haitian culture too, to be, yeah, let's explore this, let's find out. And, you know, we have a pastor friend that we have known since before we adopted her in Haiti, that we got to go take her to meet, and he's come to Oregon. And so I feel like, yeah, there's that important part to explore being a Black American, but also her Haitian roots. And yeah, can I just tell you a side note? When she came home at 15 months old, it was Christmas time. And so, like, Jingle Bells, the song would be on. This child, after, like, hearing the song, I don't even know, it's not like I'm playing Jingle Bells all the time. She had the beat of Jingle Bells. She didn't know the words, but literally we could tell that she was singing Jingle Bells and dance. So she's been singing and dancing since younger than 2. Like, it's so awesome to see her now just explore that. And obviously a gift that God has given her.
Impressive.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's been great discussing such an important and, like, really wide range of topics within race and just, like, church and God and all these things that like the intersectionality between racial issues is really important. And I love the way that your family highlights that, the way Hope you highlight that for yourself. And it's been a really good conversation with both of you.
Yeah, this is definitely has been a very rewarding conversation for me. And, like, it's just been so wholesome. And, like, Hope, I'm still shocked that you're going to be a junior.
I'm shocked.
I don't know why. Like, whenever people are younger than me, I just hit a pause button for them, like, their age. And so
I know.
that they're older, I'm always just shook. But no, developing into a very beautiful and confident and bold and dark-skinned Black woman, and I love to see it. Yes, but thank you both for joining us today, and I hope you had a good time.
Yes,
we did.
Thank you everyone for watching, and join us next Sunday. Thank you. My computer's finna die. It's at 16.
It's okay.
But I think we're almost done.
Yeah, we're basically almost done.